Hello, everybody. Welcome back. So, VR inventory. Jesus Christ, I have a lot of shit on my desk. Oh, I asked for this. I asked to do VR dev. I am doing VR dev. It's okay. All right. So, um, we gotta set up controllers, VR controllers. Now, I think what I need to do is maybe set up some sort of a hand. You know, yeah. Let's set up the right hand first. Okay. Now, on average, the palm is about the same length as the finger section. Right. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's fine. Okay, we're gonna do this. And let's see. Relatively speaking, just the proportional relation. My pink is tiny, so, eh. Okay. Okay, so that's good. That is good. let's save this. This is going to go to Sublinaris, Assets, Models, Player. This would be hand. Hand.bland. Join everything. And then we're going to go into... before we go too far into this, I think I just want to adjust the base geometries a little bit. Actually, come to think of it, I'm doing this the wrong order, the wrong direction. This has got to go up. As a matter of fact, the whole loop needs to rise up. That's where the knuckles are. Okay. Cool. That should be good. I don't think we have to worry about this. And then sculpt mode. First thing we do is apply scale so that this is 1:1:1. Otherwise, you see it's all messed up. 1:1:1. Now we do sculpt and remesh. Let's remesh with a larger sample size. Like this. Vishal, good day. Good day indeed. How are you doing? Okay, we're currently working with the pen, not the pen, the mouse. Oh yeah, this is a lot faster. Man, what am I doing wasting my time with the mouse? we go. This is the hottest game indeed. Yes. Yes, indeed. Okay, now I feel like the fingers turned out way too thin. So I probably should have rounded the thumb a bit before having to struggle with all this right now. Okay. Now, we don't have to go into like an hour-long sculpting thing for this for now. Let's see. Inflate. Oh yeah, that's going to be helpful. That's way better. Nice. Okay. Let's not worry about this right now. Here's what I want to do. I know that this is the base hand. Practicing sculpting. I'm not really practicing right now because I'm not actually going to be doing too much of this. I just needed to set up a quick hand. Aw, man. I just realized this is never on the same level. It kind of goes up and then it goes down a bit like this. Dang it. Elastic deform. Can we do this? Sort of. Also, I think it might be just a little too long. Yeah, okay. Yeah, having a good starting point, starting geometry, really helps with not having to do this. Could be a good placeholder. That's what I'm thinking. Just a nice placeholder for the time being. Okay. Now, save it up. I am going to. I'm gonna see. Is it possible to decimate and then rig it? Let's see. Let me do an armature. Okay, that's the palm. And then we're gonna disconnect this wrist. Yes, that's good. Pinky, excuse me. Point, base, point, mid, and then point, tip. Quadra-mesh would be a great add-on to be in your inventory if you're diving deep into sculpting. I will definitely be diving deep quite into sculpting. Quadra-mesh, what does that plugin do while I'm working on this? There's a particular plugin that I'm meaning to purchase for retopology 2. Was it Retopoflow? Okay, so what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna batch rename. I'm gonna find point and then rename it to be middle. So now it's, oh, interesting. Doesn't seem to work with this. Objects, bones. There we go. Middle tip. Okay, same thing. Batch rename. This is point and then ring. Batch rename. Point. Pinky. There we go. The only problem is that it still has zeros and all that stuff. Okay. So I think we need to move these. Probably not too far. There we go. Quadro Mesh is made by guys who made ZBrush, Z Remesher. Helps getting really fine, clean quad. Okay, so you're talking about the remeshing one. Got it. It's not a built-in plugin though, because it sounds familiar. Okay, let me display the axis. Because, oh, shit. Okay, hold on. Let me copy this. Okay, and then paste it in. No? Okay, guess that's not gonna work for us. Eh, nice. Okay. Now, the x-axis on all these fingers looks okay, but the x-axis on this one... Maybe? I think we'll have to adjust the bone roll here. Yeah, I think we do. Oh, actually, we can base it off of the orientation of the nail. So right there. And then there we go. It's on the expensive side, more than $60. Will be worth every penny if you plan to sculpt often. Z remesher or quad remesh? Quad remesh blender. Automatic quad remeshing or auto retopology algorithm. Interesting. 199 bucks for indie. Could be worth it. You know, I've spent a decent chunk of cash on Substance 3 times. So, you know, for sure. Can definitely take a look at that. Okay, so this is thumb base, thumb mid, thumb tip. Okay. So this is good. It's all right. Let's go ahead and parent it. Armature deform with automatic weights. I haven't checked the dimensions though. I think this thing might be ginormous. Also, didn't apply the scale. Also, this has taken a mighty long time. Oh, it's not. Oh, it's 249 vertices. 1,000 vertices. Let's not do that. 1,024. Fuck. Can I read the number? 124,000 vertices. Jesus. Okay. So, decimate. I'm going to have to duplicate this and hide it. So, high poly. Hide it. And then this is low poly. We're going to return to the high poly after a while. 25,000. Okay. It's not great. Actually, isn't there a particular rule that having multiple decimate operations is better than just having one that goes down to like 10%? 12,000. Okay. 2,000. Okay, we can work with this. So, convert to mesh. Just going to apply that. And this will be our temporary hand. Automatic weights. Oh yeah, that's more like it. All right, pose mode. Yeah. All right. Let's try this. Just gonna bring this forward. Okay. Well, it's not great. But again, we don't really have to do too much stuff here. Hold on. Scale is 111. Is that? Yep, scale is 111. Okay. Just wanted to make sure. Okay. That's fine. Again, not really supposed to be a clean design. Let's get the armature to have a couple of animations. Like when we grab something. I want to get the grabbing for the joysticks. Joysticks. Dope sheet. No. Let's keep this at timeline. Split it. And then go for dope sheet. Action editor. Pose mode. Let's make a new animation. Rest. Or reset. There we go. Let's give it location rotation. Frames. Enable record. And then there we go. Too bad we can't like L to deselect. Okay, there's going to be shading issues because of, you know, of course there will be. Unless... Can I do something here? Sculpt mode and... Oh god. Yeah, if we do that, say bye-bye to the webbings. This is where you'd have to create a low poly alternative. Okay, that's fine. Let's go over here. Right. Okay. Oh, what happened? Oh, the remeshing. If you remesh a rigged object, all the vertices change and they no longer get assigned to the proper vertex groups. So the rigging goes out the window. So that's another reason why we can't do that. Okay, that's fine. So we have our reset. That's good. I think we should give it at least a few more frames. Okay. I don't want the pinky finger to be perfectly straight. Okay, so that's a reset. There we go. Next, we need to have a holding a joystick, which I think would be similar to holding a tool. Let me do this. So I'm going to go to UV weight transfer if you really want to go that way. Oh, interesting. Okay, but the UVs have to match, right? Thruster suit, grab gun. Okay. So, I'm going to take the grabby gun's handle and we're going to go back to the hand. Oh, internal clipboard is empty, my ass. Oh, come on. Copy. Oh, come on. Oh, I'm in pose mode. That's why. Ooh, that is... Uh-huh. I actually don't know how big that is. That might, for all I know, be absolutely tiny. Actually, it's 1.74 meters. This hand is ginormous. Whoops. Okay. Cursor to world origin, and then edit around the cursor. Okay, let's scale this down, and let's just export this. Weight transfer. Okay, got it. That makes more sense. So it's like by proximity, I assume, right? Let's export as GLTF. Sublinaris. Engine, models, player, hand GLB. Export with the Godot preset. You know what? I'm going to disconnect the USB that is currently obscuring a portion of my screen. Go away. There we go. Whoa. Why did that become so tiny? All right. I might want to apply scale before we get too far into animations and stuff. That is not good. Do not animate. Rotation should not be animated either. Let's apply rotation. And location should not be animated on the whole object. That's because I left the record button on, of course. Lovely. Okay. Cool. All right. All right. Absolutely. Okay, well, that's good to know. Perfect. Hand. All right. So let's go over here. We need to place it into the XR origin, and we know that technically we have to have two hands. And we are going to go and try the insane process of programming only one hand and then propagating to another. So, XR controller, VR hand. Okay, we have a tracker, which is kind of interesting because you have Vive trackers available to work with here. You've got left foot, right foot. This is really cool stuff. User treadmill. You can use a treadmill to have locomotions in the game. That's funny. All right, let's get the script. This is going to be scripts. I guess we need to have a player folder. VR hand. Okay, and then let's get this object in place. Where is it? Player hand. Hey, okay. That's not what I wanted to do. Export GLTF. And, oh yeah. Visible collisions, or visible only. There we go. Okay. Why this process is insane? Are you talking about the weight transfer process or something that I said? Object. Oh, come on. Objects. Player. VR hand. Okay. I'm going to go into the player, XR origin, and then we're going to place the VR hand. Oh, no, that's not what I wanted to do. I didn't want to open it. I wanted to instance it. We need 2 of them. So first one's going to be the left hand. This is going to be the right hand. Okay, VR hand left. VR hand right. Pose, aim, grip, skeleton. That's interesting. We're just going to keep it the way it is. All right. So this should just kick in right away. Just need to enable the controllers. Okay, hey, look at that. Now, right now, the orientation is super messed up, because you see, my hands are definitely not in this orientation. They're like, they need to be on by 90 degrees, like this, and they also need to flip like this by 45. So, programming one hand to use on both. I've had a lot of problems with, like, alignment. And especially, like, the shading on the hand was inside out, because I would flip the hand by setting the scale to be negative. Now, at some point it worked, at another point it didn't. So it's like, I remember a lot of issues. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. Hand goes like this, and then 45 degrees. And I think I recall having to do something else. That looks a little weird. 90 degrees. Oh, that's probably why. Didn't go full 90. And then 45. The alignment of VR hands is never really what you think it is. Okay. So. I think actually the 45 degrees is unnecessary. As a matter of fact, if I remember correctly, we should be able to mess around with the angles right away. Just go here, 45, I'll set it to 0. Okay, so that is actually, that's pretty good actually, and the scale looks pretty good too. Let's see, now, actually, okay, so it's got to go down, and it's got to go like this. Okay. I don't think I'll be able to do that. Okay, so it's got to go down this way and a little bit like this. Yeah, see, these are the shenanigans we have to work with. I had to do this with Machine Phantasm. I got to do this here. Okay, I better see my hand here. Oh, almost. Almost. Now we could work with an approximation. It looks like maybe about 15 degrees this way. Maybe about, yeah, like 15 degrees this way. And let's just do that first. So, yep. See, this is the nonsense. Okay. Okay, come on. There we go. Pretty good. All we need to do is just drop it down. Drop it down and then backwards a little bit more. So, Drop it down. And backwards a little bit more. So the control is over here. The hand has to be over here. I honestly don't know why they can't establish some sort of a standard. Maybe there is a standard and this is what you have to do. Well, it is what it is. There we go. Now we got it. At least the right hand. Maybe not. Gotta rotate a little bit this way. Right, pinky tip down. So, pinky tip down. This way. Which is 30 degrees. Now watch it be too much. And I'm gonna screw up the whole thing. Yep. Well, that's too screwed up. Pinky tip up. Okay. That is, I think, as close as we're gonna get. Maybe this way. So, oh. Yeah, seems like it's a little low. We dropped it too much. Oh yes. That pinky is giant. God damn. Yeah, that pinky is just absolutely freaking ginormous. There we go. It bothered me so much I had to go switch it. There we go. Nice. All right. That's good. Okay, now I'm going to have to take a look at this hand from the side view. Okay. Does that line up? It's a little too far to... So, how close do we really need to get this? Because realistically, like, I just need to lift it, push it back a little bit. You know, one of the controllers went to sleep. Okay, so I just need to push it back a little bit like this. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Yeah, you know what? That is as close as we're gonna get, I think. Also, these fingers are mighty crooked. Also, it's not in the reset pose. We explicitly made a reset animation. Do not dupe me out of this. There you go. That's what you're supposed to be doing. Nice. Beautiful. Nice. Okay, so what are we gonna do now? We have the hand. We need to... Right, we have the handle. Not that one. There we go. So that's how big the handle is gonna be then. It's a bit much. How big is this? 5. So it's got to be about half the size. Okay. Fair enough. So we're going to go back here, grab a gun. We're going to adjust everything from the cursor. Do this, apply scale, apply rotation while we're at it. Actually, no, that's a bad idea, because if I apply rotation, then this is going to have bad rotation on it. So don't apply rotation there. Apply rotation on this one. And the rest is fine. Okay. Export. Let's go to Engine, Models, Inventory Items, grab a gun. Good. Okay. Now, we know that the left hand has to take this and it has to flip it. So the problem here is we need to flip this thing, and I think we need to flip this thing across the proper center. So this is why we need a Node 3D node, and then take this, and this is hand origin, and then in the ready function, we need to flip it if it is the left hand. So we know that it's VR hand left. That's the name of the node here. So if name is VR hand left, then we're going to take the hand origin, we're going to flip it. The gun looks very cool. Thank you. That is a tool for grabbing elements, resources. It's like a gravity gun from Fallout, excuse me, Half-Life. Okay, so this is going to be scale x -1. Okay, so this should flip it. Okay, that's the left hand. And that's the right hand. There we go. Sure. I think that works. Okay, now this whole thing is a little bit high. Or is a little bit low. I gotta like really reach out to get to it. Ooh. I heard a noise from the left and my VR thing lost tracking. That was a little weird. Oh. The controller's dying. Great. Hold on. I'm gonna put it on charge for the time being. That's fine. I need to get one of those multi-port USB chargers. It's got like 4 USB ports on it, so it can charge a bunch of stuff all at once. Okay, so that's all fine and dandy, but what do we need to do now? Well, now we need to define an item for that gun thing. So we're gonna go to the player, give the player var inventory, and then what do we want to do in this inventory? Well, of course, we're defining it as what? As slot numbers, right? As usual. Okay. We're going to have item ID. Or just ID. Let's do item ID. That's fine. Item ID, and this is grabby gun. Item name. Grabby gun. The scene for this item is gonna be, well, just like in Dreadtail, items, inventory items are gonna be rigid bodies. So we're gonna have a rigid body. This is grabby gun, especially in VR. It has to be a rigid body. Okay, now grabby gun, grabby gun, grabby gun. Did we already made an object for it? We did not. Okay, that's good. So don't you feel overwhelmed by your own stuff? The web of wires? Not really. It's, you know, what am I going to do? Not have this? Put it away, and then when I have to test it, put it all back? You know, when I'm not working on a project, I put it all aside, and it doesn't really work. I'm focused on this. So it's not really that big a deal. Okay, so here's what we need to do. We need to establish a base script for every item, which will include the basic stuff like grabbing the stuff. So we're gonna go scripts. Let's make a folder. Or not, I suppose. We're not gonna make a folder. We're gonna expand the folder. There we go. This is called inventory items. Okay, inside we're gonna make a new script. It will inherit rigid body 3D. Okay, and the name of the script is going to be generic inventory item. There we go. Beautiful. We are going to keep it as it is. And grabby gun is going to inherit from that inventory, generic inventory item. There we go. Nice. So let me save the scene, objects, inventory items. I gotta say, I kind of wish we had the option of hiding some of these folders. Sure, you can give them a color, but I'd rather be able to hide a folder. Or give me the ability to search by, like, TSCN files only. That would be nice as well. Okay, so this is the scene. We need to populate the grabby gun into it. We know it's a GLTF file, so we just pop it in like this. Okay, make editable children. Wow, those names are beautiful. Body handle. Nice. Okay, let's give it a shape. Nope. Shape, collision shape. Come on. All right, so simple, primitive shapes. Yeah, that'll do. All right. So now I suppose maybe the first thing we should do is make it so that we can pick the item up while it's in the middle of the air and then place it down into the inventory. And then we'll worry about taking it out of the inventory. So that means the generic inventory item has to have a var variable called item key. I'll do item ID since that's what we have it already named in our code. So we know that here now it has to be an export variable. So we'll go back here. Maybe I need a new keyboard. Okay, so this is grabby gun. Cool. In which case, we'll go back to the player and follow along the same old strategy as we did before. Place it here. And then this has to be actually extracted. And then we go to the master node, var item database. Same exact thing we did with Dreadtail. And then here, instead of 0, we use the ID of the item. And now we have an item database with one item. That's good. We're going to add stuff to it as we go along, but at least now, when the player deposits the grabby gun, it will simply take its own ID and then say, take this item and all the data from the master node using this key, and then put it into the player, and that's it. Now, I'm gonna give this thing 0 gravity scale so it doesn't go anywhere. And what now? Well, now, let me place one in the level. Man, I do not have enough elbow rest on this chair. I need more. More elbow rest. I need to make a chair that's just nothing but elbow rest. The whole chair is just one giant elbow rest. It's basically just a bed for the elbow. Where's the player? There's the player. All right. So, we have our VR pause menu right here. Just gonna hide that. Of course, H doesn't work because we're not in Blender. Let's go back here. Oh yeah, there was something about the terrain that we had noted. The load times for terrain can be fixed if the terrain data is stored as a resource file instead of oh, what is this? Is this ground? Oh, I guess we don't have the terrain here. This is just ground. Got it. So not a problem here because we're not using a terrain plugin here. Okay, that's fine. Take the grabby gun, instance it inside of the player, and then take it out of the player, and then place it right here. Okay, we only need one controller for this, that's fine. And it crashed. Cannot resolve superclass path. Scripts generic inventory item. Oh man, it still happens. It's the weird, stupid, magical code editing that happens. Okay, so here we go. That looks good. And then when I do that, it should grab the thing. It should grab the hand. Or grab the tool. But here's the problem. I am a thorough enjoyer of physical hands. When you push, it causes the thing to move. So what I feel like I should be able to do is I feel like I should be able to push, and then this thing would just, fly. So, to be able to do that, we have to make this into a physical hand. But there's a particular conundrum, and it's the fact that there's I can't just make this into a rigid body. I have to turn this hand into some weird physics object and make the hand go to it using physics. And I have a tutorial kind of queued up waiting for me to get here. And we're gonna just have it open on the second screen. We're gonna go through it and establish it, but we need to establish a Node 3D node, and this Node 3D node will act as the hand destination. And then this rigid body, which is going to be in the hand for a moment, so we can reset all the axes. This is going to be the hand itself. Hand rigid body. Okay, now let's see here. Thumbnail looks so cool. How's my new PFP? PFP? I do not know what you mean. Okay. Profile pic. Ah. I did not notice that that was a different profile pic. Interesting. Okay, so what are we doing here? What do we gotta do? Updated to fit the new Minecraft skin. Gotcha. So we're gonna have to be applying linear forces to this. I'm gonna have to make this be not afraid. I'm gonna have to make this not inherit from the rigid from the parent, so that it is not affected by its transforms. I think that should work, hopefully. Okay. And then we do need to give it a small collision shape. Alright, we'll just work with this for the time being. Cool. Now, I think we gotta do this in the physics process. Okay. So what do we do here? We have this node, which is the destination node. We take the global position. We subtract the rigid body dot global position, and then var, we're just gonna call it the same as the tutorial, so move delta. Cool. Coefficient force 300. It's a float. We'll just work with this, and then hand, what is it? This, whoops, this guy. Apply central force is going to be move delta times coefficient force, which basically means just speed. Process runs as fast as possible. Physics process is locked to 60 or 90 times per second, depending on your settings. Process function is for handling heavy logic, especially if you have a lot of nested loops. Physics process is for if you need to like overwrite physics or get the latest, most position, stuff like that. Okay. Coefficient force. There we go. Okay, so that's for central force movement. Okay, then we do torque. And torque is to align the rotation. So var quaternions. Okay, so technically we don't need this. We already know that it's going to be in quaternions. So we need to do the rigid body dot global transform basis get rotation quaternion. There we go. Transform, global transform. Physics attributes, process for internal attributes. I don't know if I would say that that's exclusively what it's for, but I'll give you an example. I made a mistake before where I had an inventory system with like 50 inventory slots, and I was handling the hiding and unhiding as well as visual rotation and scaling and color changes within the physics process of the inventory slot. Because I had 30 of them, all 30 ran all of that rotation, location, and color stuff in the physics process, and my game literally dipped to like 10 frames every time I opened up the inventory. I moved that code from physics process to process, and it just ran fine. So process is where you put logic. Physics process is where you override physics. I hope that helps. Okay, so quant hand controller, which is, yeah, okay. I believe we're going to be interpolating between quaternions and then applying that as a force, torque force. Global transform dot basis dot get rotation quaterny on or on. Yeah. Nice. Cool. Okay, so we got that going on. What do we do next? Delta. Okay. So take the control and then multiply by the rigid body dot inverse. Okay. And then rotation delta, vector 3, and then this is going to be quad delta dot x, ooh, dot y dot z, multiply quad delta dot w, which is weight. Learning shaders. Yes, shaders are very quite handy. Okay. Okay, and then we talk to the rigid body and we apply torque rock. Beautiful. Coefficient torque. There we go. Okay. Okay. And I think that's basically it. All we have to do is now crank the hell up the linear and angular values so that it doesn't like overshoot. And I think that's basically it. It might also be a good idea to position the hand rigid body to be in the same location as hand destination in the beginning, so that it actually teleports to the right location. So we're gonna take hand rigid body, global transform. Yeah. And then make it equals to hand destination, global transform. Think you're learning VR by making a FNAF fan game? Go for it. No better way. Just get something done. Rigid body, global transform. Global transform. Beautiful. Alright, let's see what crashes. Oh. Okay, I guess nothing crashes. But we have a hand up our ass, I think. Oh, I think I can't... Oh, hello. Yeah, look at that. Well, look, it actually does follow us. And it follows us pretty well, too. Let's see. Okay. Let's see if I can get this. Oh, boy. We need to make sure that our hand actually ignores... Well, there's the gun. Okay. We need to make the hand... Ooh. We need to make the hand ignore collisions with the body and body ignore collisions with the hand. Okay, so to do that, here's what we're going to do. We're going to make a variable called my player, set it to null, and then we're going to go to the player, and in the ready function, we're going to talk to what? Talk to these two guys. And then set my player to self. Okay, hopefully the order of execution will allow us to do this. So let's go back here. And then in the ready function, we're going to say my player dot, and what do we want? The kinematic body, I think that's a character body. Character body 3D should have a way of us adding exceptions, which is actually a part of a physics body, because this is not exclusive to character body. Rigid bodies, static bodies can also do the same thing. Add collision exceptions with. That's what we are looking for. We go back to the player hand. Add collision exception with. Self. Okay. And I think maybe it's a good idea to make us also ignore the player. Okay. Oh, well, thanks for letting me run the code with an error in it. Okay. What was your first project where you can confident you can make it? I don't think there is a project, because it's not like a snap thing when I just, oh, I know I can now make it. It's just, with every project I was pushing further and further and further and further to having something that is completed. So that's just how it worked. Oh yeah, we can't actually talk to this. We have to talk to the rigid body, which means the first one is also wrong, because we have to make the rigid body be ignoring it. And yes, I could make them on-ready variables, but yeah, that's just a different way I decided to go about it. Are we in error? Yes, we're in error. Okay. Not exist function add collision set from the width and base nil. I kind of expected that to happen because there is no player. Okay, you know what? Maybe I will make an on ready in this case. And then we do get parent dot get, oh, we just do get owner. There we go. So get owner gets the very topmost node in the scene immediate scene hierarchy. So that should do it, and that means I don't have to do this in the player. And the problem is that children get to run their ready functions first, which kind of sucks. Well, it is what it is. Okay, there's the hand, and then if I do this, there we go. Look at that. Just got a bye-bye. Nice. Okay. Cool. What should we do now? VR hand. That is actually working surprisingly well. So, the way I'm going to be handling this whole collisions with VR hand thing is I'm gonna make the item that I'm picking up copy its collision shapes into the player. Okay? That's how I'm gonna handle it. Okay. Hey. Well. Come on. I need to grab you. I can't grab you now because of course I don't have grabbing capabilities, but I'm just testing this. Okay, now. How far into this do we want to go? So I'm pretty sure we do have the option of setting up collisions on a per finger basis. All we have to do is make the collision shape move around. We just have to make it move around when the finger moves around. And that can technically be done by placing bone attachment nodes and remote transform nodes into the finger bones, so that when the finger moves, the bone attachment node moves the collision shape, because we can't just place the collision shape into the bone attachment node. Now, that particular method worked. Maybe we can do like physics bones instead. But yeah, that particular method actually worked with whatchamacallit, it worked with... Huh, what did it work with? Actually, I can't remember. Oh, it worked with like interactable objects, like a flying book that you can interact with. Because the book was flying, and it was flying because of armature animations, we would just nest a little collision shape into the armature. And yeah, it would just be nice and responsive and interactive. It just worked. Okay. I don't think we have to go as far as that. But yeah, look at that. Okay, now this is oof. This is my hand lagging behind. Because of course it would lag behind, because we're moving. And this is a big problem with VR, physical VR hands. It's the fact that, well, stuff needs to move very quite quickly. Okay, well that's following me a little bit better. Okay. So, that's cool. But what's the next step? The next step is I need to be able to grab it. Okay. So, we have our physics hand. That's perfect. We're going to place into it an area node and a shape. Hopefully this approach is going to prove this physics hand system to be useful and actually usable, because I would like to use it in the VR shooter game. Oh yes, we are definitely going to revisit the VR shooter project. Let's not actually rotate and move it here. Let's do this on the area node. Okay. Now. I need to indicate what it is that I'm about to pick up. Okay, so this is grab area. There we go. Grab area. So the grab area needs to detect when something enters and exits it. So we're going to do body entered signal and body exit signal. Grab area, body entered, body exited. Now, a hand could hypothetically collide with multiple objects. So we're going to make a variable called grab array. It's going to be an array of items. And then here, when the body enters, we're going to append that body into the array. And then when it leaves, we're going to erase that body from the array. Erase allows us to erase a value, while remove requires us to supply the position of that value in the array. Now, that's not all we gotta do. You see, not everything can be grabbed. So we need to put this into a group called grabbable group. Yes. Okay, now, grabbable group. More than one thing could technically be grabbable. More than one thing can be grabbable. And we can grab different things in different ways. Like, we can grab a tool or a weapon or something, and that something has to follow the hand. But we can also grab a lever, in which case the lever is stationary and the hand follows the lever. So I think those two work in two different ways. Let's give it a group called inventory item. Okay? And we'll just work with that for the time being. So this is generic. No, this is hand. There we go. So we're going to check if body is in group called inventory item. And if it is, we add it. And then if something leaves, we erase it. Nice. Beautiful. Well, what does that give us? Well, that gives us an array called grab array, and in that array we need to figure out what is the closest object to the center of this grab area. So to the center of this little point. As a matter of fact, maybe we're gonna position it right above the palm, and then the shape is gonna be moved over here. There we go. So that actually makes more sense. What is the closest object to this point right here? Okay, not bad. So let's do func process. Func grab process. This is a custom function. We're going to call it from the built-in function. Grab process. Okay, so for item in grab array. So we're going to loop through these items. We're going to send delta into it, by the way, just in case if we need it. We're going to loop through all the items in the grab array, and we need to figure out which one's the closest one to this point. Now, the closest item would be probably stored in a variable, closest grab item. Which makes me think that we might actually have to work with grabbable items in here, not just inventory items. Okay, you know what? Let's do this. Grabbable item group. I'm going to remove it from the inventory item, and we'll worry about that later. So, and the reason why I have to make this switch is because if we only store inventory items, then what about levers? Well, then I'm going to have another array for levers. But then what if you're both colliding with an array with a lever and an inventory item? Well, you're going to end up grabbing both. So we have to treat them both as a part of the same feature. Okay? Cool. Cool. So we go back here. Closest grab item. Let's call it closest grabbable. So before the arrays, the for loop starts running, we're going to reset this to null. And we're going to establish a variable, closest grabbable distance. Let's set it to 10, and this is 10 meters because we're working in VR. Okay, so var dist to item is going to be equals to what? We take the global area, or grab area, global position, and then calculate distance to the item global position, and then gets recorded into the distance to item. If distance to item happens to be less than closest grabbable distance, then we have found the closest object. So we say closest grabbable distance becomes the distance to item, and closest grabbable becomes item itself. And that's it. That's all we need to sort out which object is the closest. Now this is important because we need to make sure that the first object that we check, if it's closer than this, then the next object in the array has to beat the new distance, which is closer than this, whatever this distance is. So let's say we were colliding with a hammer and a weapon. Okay, so hammer was 7, so 7 is closer than 10. Cool. 7 becomes the closest distance. But the hammer is 5. So 5 is even closer than 7 and 10. So then the hammer, or the weapon, becomes the closest object. Now that we've done this, we have a variable called closest grabbable. And what do we need to do? What do we need to do here? Well, in the past, I would pair I would pair the hand and the item using a joint. Now, in this case, I don't think that is such a good idea. Okay. So we need to detect when we grab something. We have a button pressed and button released signals that we can use here. Button pressed, button released. And it gives us the string of the action that we're pressing. Well, not the action, but the button. Yeah, the VR binding of the button. Okay, so we're going to print that. That's fine. Okay, so we need to figure out which button is the grab button. Or at least what is the grab button binding that it gives me. Okay. There's our controller. Now where's the hand? Oh, was there an error in the code? No. No, there wasn't an error in the code. So this should be working. Okay, that's weird. Maybe I have to actually put on the headset. Come on. Oh, damn it. I didn't press run. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so there's the hand. And... okay, so it's... so it looks like it's button, grip, click. Interesting. Now, it doesn't discern between multiple fingers. Cool. That's fine. We don't really need that level of control. But yeah, the Valve controllers can discern between multiple fingers. Okay, so button, grip, click. Cool. Button, on button pressed. I'm going to do, copy this out. So if the name, or I guess we can do a match statement. The name of the button is button, grip, click. Then what do we want to do? Well, we want to grab something. So let's say closest grabbable. If closest grabbable is not null, then what do we do? Well, this would actually be determined by what type of item that we're just grabbing, which means I should probably re-add the group called inventory item group. There we go. So if it's an inventory item group, it has to stick to the hand. Okay, so if closest grabbable is in group called inventory item group, then what are we going to do? I am pretty sure that if we take the grabby gun, and just assign it to where the hand is, then that should, hypothetically, make it work. Now the question is, how are we going to store how the hand should grab the item? I'd like to make it as easy as possible. Like maybe a node that indicates here, how the item needs to be grabbed. We could also technically store the grabbing location and orientation in the item itself. I think that could work. So if I go temporarily place, the grabbing gun TSCN. Okay. Let's say that we're gonna have what? Grab area. Grab area actually seems like a pretty good place to use as a reference. So, but do we do it based on the location of the VR hand? Maybe. It might be a good idea to do it based on the VR hand location. Okay, so grab the grabby gun. And then I would imagine we have to do it something like this. As a matter of fact, technically this is where the hand would have to be given an extra pose. Okay, so this is reset. Let's duplicate that and let's call it tool handle or weapon handle. Let's call it weapon handle. That's fine. We're going to protect both of these, by the way. Okay, weapon handle. So, we need to make sure that any transforms are happening around the bone. Okay. Well, it's not perfect. This is a placeholder hand. Oh, come on. Individual origins. There we go. Okay. So, location rotation, and that's good. So let's export GLTF. This is going to go to engine, models, player, hand. Save it up. Good eye, mate. Good day. Good evening. Good night. We're well in it. Okay. Let's get this hand. Let's get it to do the weapon handle. Okay, that's what it looks like. Not bad, actually. That's pretty close. Let's get grab a hand. Bring it in. Bring it back. So we can squeeze it, these top two fingers a little bit more. Nice. Okay. Well, that didn't work at all. Did it not, like, record it? Oh yeah, it did not because we don't have record enabled. Oopsie. There we go. Nice. Okay, perfect. So, what do we need to know? Well, the gun, the item, we need to record its location and rotation relative to this hand. Okay, so copy. I think we can just go into the scene and let's give it a couple more properties. Oh, come on. There we go. Let's give it... I think we just store it here. We don't have to store it in the item data. So grab location, and that this is an export variable containing a vector3. Okay, and then we're gonna do grab rotation, also containing a vector3. Beautiful. And then all we have to do is go back to this item, grab location, paste that in there, and then go back to the VR hand, copy the rotation, copy value. Interesting. So it's relative to the rigid body. I have to be careful. It's not relative to the hand. Hopefully that's not going to present too many problems. Let's paste that in. Okay. Cool. So we'll go back here. Get rid of the grabby gun. So what's important is that the item that we're picking up has to be made. It has to be made as a child of this, the hand rigid body. Now, is that really the best way to do it? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I should just use a remote transform node. You know? Remote transform 3D. Call it grabbed item remote. Because then we don't have to mess around with like making an item a child of the hand or any of that nonsense. Okay. So let's go here. And then when we grab, we're gonna do closest grabbable. Freeze becomes true. So the item no longer acts as a rigid body. We're gonna say grabbed item node dot remote path is gonna be the path of the closest grabbable. And we need to set the location and the rotation of this. So position, and it has to be local position, equals to closest grabbable dot, and what was the property? Grab location. Okay, and then rotation degrees. That is grab rotation. Alrighty. Let's see. Okay. Oh, come on now. No? Oh, son of a... Get back here. Well, that sucks. So why did that not work? Did it not work? Do you have a timeline for schedule? Monday, Artec Rise, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Dreadtail, Friday, Sublunaris, Saturday, Child of Ether, Sunday, some mini game for Retroactive Gamers website, more or less. Sometimes, you know, plans change and schedule changes, and it's like it's a little messy. But that's basically how I occupy myself. How far along each the project? Variable length. You know, some project gets more time. Projects that involves other people tends to be prioritized a lot more. Like Dreadtail involves Dimitar doing 3D modeling, texturing, Antoine doing 3D modeling, texturing, and Cole doing sound effects. So that project gets 3 days, you know? If I was working solo on everything, it would be 7 days for 7 projects. Oh god. Oh no. I already had to like shelve a bunch of stuff to make this work. Do you plan to do a video on recapping chatting projects? I have so many updates saved up or accumulated that I think I'm gonna have to do like multiple videos on each project, or multiple videos to cover all the projects. Oh, that's a lot. I should probably do that. I'm running out of hard drive space because I can't offload the stream videos until I do an update. And I'm running out of space. Okay, so why did this not work? Inventory item group. Is this not it? Let's put a breakpoint right here. As a matter of fact, let's put a breakpoint right here. Okay. We definitely need some sort of a visual indication that we're interacting with this. Oh. That right there is the reason it does not work. So it never even gets to this point. So this never gets executed. Why? I don't know. Let's see. Does the stream video also get saved? Yes. I stream and record at the same time. The streams end up on YouTube, but the recordings end up on the Concept Bay website. Okay. So, VR. Oh, you know what? I'm a flippin' idiot. I called it button grip, but this is the word that's button. It's got to be grip click. Whoops. The release games, 50% through Child of Ether. No, nowhere near. I think I'm not gonna be waiting for the full game to be finished. With a lot of these projects, I think I'm just gonna have a. Oh, hello there. Oh, actually, we crashed. That's why I can't see it. Or we didn't crash. We hit a breakpoint. Right. So with a lot of these projects, I'm probably gonna do something like a survival mode. Oh, I can't resume. I can't resume in VR. All right, fair enough. Like here with Sublunars, the most important is underwater survival, base building, environment, and horrors, right? So once that's done, I'm gonna push this out, and then we can focus on story once we have something, you know, tangible and playable in place. With Child of Ether, same concept. Let's not go. But it works. Okay. Right. Oh, I know why. It's because I need to clear. No, I don't need to clear anything. That's weird. Yeah, so there isn't really like a particular release date for any of these projects. I just work on them as the time permits. I'm still figuring out this whole process anyways. You know, trying to figure out how to even scope out the project so I can finish it. Position. Maybe we didn't get the proper values. Let me try this. Can I copy this? Bring back the grabby gun. And then paste this in here. Okay. So, if I take the grabbed item, reset, reset, place it right there, and then take it out, and then tell it to tell the grabby gun where to go. There we go. So moving the remote transform moves the gun. Okay. Now, these are the properties that we need to save. Right? So we go grabby gun. Let's double check that. Paste it in. It's the same exact value. So it's, oh, it's the rotation that got messed up. Which makes sense. Why didn't I copy correctly? Okay, paste it in. Ah. Oh, will you look at that? When I copy the value, it copies the radians. Now, if that's the case, technically, I should just do rotation. Okay. Just keen to see if it's more like when it's ready. XYZ before releasing. Oh boy. Early access keeps pushing development. Yeah, so early access. Oh, the idea is to, let's say with Child of Ether, a lot of my games are like survival games. And they borrow RPG mechanics without diving too heavily into the world of like stats and upgrade systems and all that stuff like like numerous perks and special abilities and all that stuff. Like I like the dialogue system. Yeah, the Vomatron feature. Yeah, that's a DLC. There we go. Yeah, so Child of Ether has dialogue and quest systems. It's heavily narrative game. But that's about it. Like the rest of it is pretty much just survival, like Minecraft. Nice. Okay. Except we need to make the hand. Oh god. That reminded me of that video where they in the zoo there's like a pen full of crocodiles or alligators or whatever the heck. And then somebody threw a meat chunk into the pen, and the crocodile confused the leg of another crocodile for the meat chunk, and they just went into the death roll and literally just like chomped off his leg. I'm like, oh! And the other croc is like, dude, really? Cold-blooded. Okay, so I think what I need to do is make it so that the grabbed item, closest grabbable, does not physically affect the hand. So we need to make them mutually exclude each other, which we can do with add collisions exception. Okay. Rigid body. I think that's it. Actually, I think only the rigid body needs to ignore the object. There we go. Yeah, so for all of these games, or at least like a good number of these games, there's some sort of like a partial way checkpoint, at which point we'll just release that version of the game. And that is basically going to be the point. That's going to be the point where we say, here's what's playable, see if you like it. And if you do, you can keep it, and we'll just use the funds to finish up the project. I'm using The Forest, Subnautica as examples. Worked for them. Okay. Cool. So we have this. We need to be able to release this stuff. So I'm pretty sure it's just a matter of this. So how do we know if we have something grabbed? Closest grabbable. Well, we need to know if it is still there. So closest grabble does not necessarily mean we're still holding it. So we need to make a variable var grabbed or held item. And this is going to be null for starters. There we go. Makes sense. Good to see feedback ASAP. To see viability. Yeah, for sure. To be honest, I feel like once you reach a certain skill level, if you can pull off a certain benchmark of quality, pretty much any project you do has a certain level of viability if you're like a solo dev or small enough dev. There's a niche for just about everything. The difficult part is reaching that niche. Once you get a team going and everybody needs to get paid, it gets a little tougher though. So if the held item is not null, that means we're holding something. If we are holding something, we don't need to check if it's in a group or anything. We just need to let go. Actually, if it's an inventory item, we let go of it in one particular kind of way. So held item freeze becomes false. We are going to reset the remote path. Remote path. Yes, so we're gonna set it to node path of an empty string. That's good. Freeze becomes false. We don't need to do this. And we need to remove collision exceptions with the held item. Next, held item will become null. And then here, held item needs to become the closest grabbable. There we go. I think there's a niche if you're excellent in anything in general. Yeah, I find that too, because like you find some very interesting hobbies that get viewership on YouTube, like mowing grass. Hey, there we go. Nice. Now throwing does not work, right? Okay. And then we still have like, maybe we can lower restitution. Says the guys watching the stream. I mean, you're here, right? Let's go 30. I want the hand to move a little faster. I think the dampening is set so high to compensate so that the hand doesn't go into like this gyration motion. Hey, okay. Nice. There we go. And then we can still physically interact with it. Nice. Okay, now is the snapping of the item to the hand really that distracting? Or can we work with it? Ooh, easy. Ooh. Okay, so this might be a little tricky, but you know, that's kind of the point of the game, is that, hey, it's a little tricky. Okay. Nice. Now, if I want to be able to throw it, maybe what we can do is apply the linear velocity of the rigid body to the object. I don't know if it's going to work. Might not. Linear velocity equals hand rigid. It might actually work, because velocity is in global axis. Linear velocity. What would you do with the HOTAS controller? The HOTAS controller is going to be more useful when you're in the vessel, because there's no like stuff to do with the hands in the vessel. Although technically they can be. There we go. Okay, so we do this. Hey, okay. So you can kind of throw it. Nice. And you can technically grab it just by grabbing anything. You just do like, oh, nice. Yeah, I think that's fine. You know what? Having to grab the handle explicitly might be a little much. I think this is perfectly fine. And then let's do also held item dot angular velocity. We're gonna borrow it from here. Angular velocity. Cool. Is that a thing? That's not a thing. Angular velocity. It is a thing, but I misspelled something. Well, there's a space here. Okay. Can't see those projects develop. Man, I gotta say, I have a very particular motivation right now. I want to settle down. I need to... Like, I want to settle down, but I want to be debt-free. So buying a house is completely out of the question right now. My plan is to buy an empty property, an off-grid property, and just build out a small cabin. You can do it for about like 10,000 bucks. The cabin, that is. Then the properties are around like 30 to 50. So I just need to get like 50 grand. Right? I'm pretty sure one of these projects should give me sufficient enough of income. Ow! Nice! Holy shit, that was so easy. Oh my god. I have spent so much time trying to get like throwable items working when you're like interacting with them. How is this that easy? Holy shit. Okay, this is awesome. Oh man. Okay. Now, I need to make it so that if the item is held, it cannot be grabbed by another hand. Feels like zero gravity in space. Well, right now I disabled the gravity on the item so that it doesn't, I don't have to chase it down every time I run the game. Looking forward to those off-grid builds. I have been reading up on framing, like how to do house framing. To be honest, off-grid, like for the most part, off-grid properties aren't really like up. They don't have to be up to code, because when you sell it, if you ever sell it, you're not really selling the house. You're selling the property. The value of the house cannot be a part of the property. But from what I've seen, it's actually pretty straightforward. Like framing a house, pretty dang straightforward. And there's a lot of videos by Larry Huang. Apparently, dude's like Jesus in the building house framing ecosystem. He's made so much educational material, written books, made educational videos on how to frame a house, how to set up walls, spacing, little tips and tricks when you're framing a house. So yeah, there's actually plenty of resources on how to get yourself up and running. Right now, of course, you're still building for yourself, right? But that's kind of the point, right? Like none of us can afford a house, a pre-built house, and none of us can afford to hire a construction company to build a house, because it's going to cost just as much. So, you gotta work with what you've got. And to be honest, like I find the idea itself kind of exciting. So even if my project, like one of my projects, does get either funded or it just brings a lot of income, I don't think I'm just gonna buy a house. I feel like I'm still gonna find an off-grid property, maybe buy like a river, and then, play things out. Plus, having all that extra income allows me to get more people to work on the project. So I'm like, hey, I got everything I need in life, more or less. Just better camera crew, basically. Yeah, basically. In the scope of game dev. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. We're gonna go to grab the generic item, and then we're gonna make a variable called held false. Okay, we are going to go to the VR hand, and then when we're holding an item, held item dot held becomes true, and then when we let go, held item dot held becomes false. Okay, nice. Now, what do we need now? Well, what do we need now? Well, it would be nice if we could maybe get that tool to grab something and store it in our inventory. I think that might be nice. I'm off. Have a great day. 2:54 p.m. here. Sounds good, man. Appreciate the company. As a matter of fact, it's been another 2 hours, which kind of makes me think maybe I should call it as well. It's almost 1 in the morning. So you know what? Let's do that. Let's call it a day. I think I've actually managed to do quite a lot considering everything. Alright, I might want to scale down these handles. The thruster suit. But other than that, let's see. Apply scale and everything. Yeah, let's try it. No, that's not Dreadtail. That's Sublunaris. Engine, models, player, thruster suit. Hopefully the animations are still going to be there. I think that just made it too small. You know what? Maybe we don't need to scale it down. Maybe we just need to bring them closer. Interesting. We have mirroring. Oh, come on. Well, no. Oh, it's because this is the right one. Okay, how much to move it by? This much. So we got it. Oh, actually, that might be a bit much. Let's do it like this. Yep. Cool. And we'll take this. Negative this much. Perfect. Then thruster suit, and I think it's just a little too low. Lift that up. There we go. At least a little too low by the... Hey, there we go. Nice. Maybe it's also... Ooh. That's not good. Convert to mesh. I think it's just also a little too up close. You gotta push it back. Like this, so the player can actually reach it. So I actually want to make sure that the player can interact with these handles in VR. Right, so they can grab it, and if they grab it, when they tilt the, tilt the controller forward, it causes the handle to go forward, you know? Oh, okay. And then for all of the other VR stuff, we're gonna make sure that there's like an inventory system, and they can place their items in these inventory slots. Okay. Okay. So we have. Well, this is still broken. If I do this, and then do this again, is it gonna break? No? Thruster suit. It's not broken here, but it is broken here. That doesn't make sense. Okay. You know what? That's fine. Is this it? Yeah, I think this is it. I gotta wrap it up. There's plenty of stuff more to do, but I really have to, like, wrap it. I think the other hand is gonna be problematic, though. Yeah, maybe. Because it's like, it's a flipped version of the hand. And it might not line up. Okay. Well, that's fine. That's it. Thanks everybody for watching. Appreciate the company. And we'll continue in the next one. See ya, fellas.